Hey, friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is my buddy Mark Fain. He's going to tell you some stories about playing bass and touring with Ry Cooder.
He's just something else. He's off totally. I've got to play with a lot of great guitar players. I mean, from John Jorgensen, Zach Wild, I don't know, all, Robin Ford, and nobody sounds like Ry. I mean, it's an amazing thing, you know. And Ry is so he's not afraid to play rough. You know, he really likes the old blues guys and how rough they played in that feel. That emotion comes out in his playing, and that's one of the things I've tried to learn from him. Not to be afraid of tunings and and stuff. Another good story about that Ry told me was he was doing the movie soundtrack to Geronimo, I think, and he had this written this piece, and he was had this orchestra that was going to play it, and it was a beautiful piece of music. It was for the Native Americans. You know, it was a beautiful piece of music, and so he wanted to use this piece of music when the white man came in to overtake the Indians. And he said, "This is just genius. I mean, my brain doesn't, and any of my friends' brains doesn't work like this." So he got a Civil War horn band and set them right in the middle of this orchestra at Capitol. And their tuning is anywhere from not 440, it's anywhere from 437 to 450. Yeah. They're so out of tune. And he had them playing this piece of music right in the middle of this beautiful string. And there was so much, it was just an amazing movement of music, and how he can use the same notes, but a little different tuning, out of tune, to create tension. It's just incredible. I mean, that's why he is. That's why he's who he is, and stuff.
Did he ever share any stories about Paris, Texas?
Oh yeah. So we were in London, and we were walking over. I can't think of the hall we were playing, and Rice said, "I'm going to walk over. I'm not going to get a ride. I'm just going to walk." He likes to get out and see the stuff that's going on in the city, and so we're walking over. And I said, "Have you played this hall before?" And he said, "Oh yeah." He said, "This is where I was getting out of the music business." He said, I didn't feel like I was selling any records, and I didn't feel like people were coming to see me." And he said, "So I had made up my mind, when I get home, I'm out of the music business. I'm going to get a job down at the gas station." I think is what he's told me, and he probably would have, because that's, he's a regular kind of guy, and so he says he gets home like on a Monday or something, and the guy calls, said, "Hey, this is so and so, and I'm doing a movie. Would you be interested in doing a soundtrack?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm not touring anymore," And I was thinking, well, hey, this would be a way for me to make some money and stay home, And so Rice says, "Well, I can meet you this week sometime." The guy says, "Well, can you meet me tomorrow? I have to be done by Friday." And Ryan said, "Sure." Bryce said, "I was a young kid. I didn't know any better." And so the guy shows up and tells him about this movie, and Rice says, "Well, what do you want?" He said, "Well, I just want some Blind Willie Johnson slide stuff. Rice said, "Well, I can do that in my sleep." And so he did it. In like 2 days, he did the soundtrack to that movie.
And the movie was?
Paris, Texas. And I've heard people talk, well, he was thinking this, and Ron wouldn't. I don't think he was thinking anything. He's just watching a movie and playing guitar, and this is what came out. That's the level of musicianship that he's on, and what he interprets. It's an amazing thing. I mean, I've been lucky, with Skaggs and the bluegrass world, and other people that I've got to play around, but I've never seen anybody quite like that. That just continually blows my mind. One other quick story: we were out playing the Opera House with Ry and Roseanne Cash and John Leventhal, and Ry. We were doing Johnny Cash tunes, which none of them really sounded. A few of them sounded like Johnny Cash tunes. We kind of did our own thing, but we did "Don't Take Your Guns to Town," and that was one that anytime you played it's going to be totally different. There might be changes, or there may not. Ry will lead you to these places, and and you got to be listening. And that night when we played that song, it never got out of the key, but just him singing it and what he played after it was over, I looked, John Leventhal and I looked at each other like, that's the best thing I've ever played. And it was, and Ry looks around, he goes, was that? That was good. I was like, yeah, you think? That's the best thing I've ever played in my whole life. It was just one of those experiences. I've had a few, but nothing quite like that. Ry is such a basic. He loves just everyday things, and nothing has to be, he likes old cars and stuff. Him and I talk about cars a lot. We both love old cars and trucks, but we would get to hotels, and he'd book 20 rooms at management would, and okay, well, this guy, he's on tour here, we're going to give him the suite and the best. Well, Ry hated him, because a suite, and you're in Amsterdam, you're up on the top floor or whatever, and it's overlooking the city, and all the lights are shining in your window, and you're hearing people walking up and down the streets, and he just wants to rest, and because it does take a lot out of him. He puts a lot of thought into his shows and stuff, and it takes a lot out of him. And he would start giving these hotel rooms every names. My favorite one was me and the Hamiltons were wonder how long it'll take him to come down and get him change rooms. And so we were sitting there, and Ry came down. He says, I got to get out of this hotel room. He said, it's a 4th floor jumper. And I said, what is a 4th floor jumper? He says, they put people up there on the 4th floor and they jump out and kill themselves. Okay. I'll tell you another funny story on Ry. I mean, there's so many funny things, but we were sitting on the bus one day, and he gets a call. It's from Washington, D.C. Well, I don't know anybody in Washington. I'm not answering that. And so a few minutes later, I've got a message. Listen, it's the White House. And this is when Obama was president. And so they're opening up the Cuban embassy, I guess, maybe in Cuba or wherever, or whatever that was going on. It was something to do with the embassy. And they were going to have the Buena Vista Social Club come to the White House and play and give out an award or whatever they were going to do for this thing, open it up. And I said, man, Ry, that's incredible. That's going to be great. He said, well, there's just no way I can go. I said, what? You got to go. He says, no. He says, I don't like, I have to go through all this security and all this stuff. And he says, and I don't have nothing where I'd have to buy new clothes. I have to buy new shoes. I'd have to get a haircut. I'd have to book a hotel room. I'd have to book. He went on for the next hour of telling me why he couldn't go. And then so I made it even worse, not meaning to. I just said, well, if you do go, are you going to take Susie? It's his wife. He said, well, I didn't think about that. If Susie goes, she's going to have to go through security. She's going to have to get a hotel room, flights. She's going to have new clothes, new shoes. And then he said, and then Susie's going to want to take her best friend, and she's going to have to get new. It's completely thought out. So, and then I didn't talk to him for a month, and I figured he wasn't going to go. And I said, hey, whatever became of that White House thing with the Buena Vista? He said, oh, it was great. We had a great time. Fantastic.
I'm guessing Susie found out.
Oh yeah. Susie found out, and we're going. Yeah.
If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and tell me down below what your favorite Ry Cooder song is, and I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.